It's about himself. Now, I'm going to play this clip in just 1 second, but first, I want to show you perhaps the worst moment of cognitive decline that we've seen throughout this entire presidency. Donald Trump is trying to address President Stubb of Finland, who is sitting right in front of him. Now, Trump reads off the name and looks around and goes, "Where is he? Where is he?" And it actually gets really awkward for a second there. Like, I was cringing. Spoiler alert, Stubb was sitting right in front of him. Watch this clip.
President Stubb of Finland, and he's somebody that, where are we here? Huh? Where? I'm right here. Oh, you look better than I've ever seen you look. But you've done a great job, and we wanted to have you here.
Then he's barely able to read. He's got to look down to like read. And keep in mind, one more time, Stubb was sitting right in front of him. How do you not see that? Imagine if Biden would have done this. I know that talking point is very trite, but literally, if Biden would have done this, it would have been a news cycle for probably 3 weeks. There would have been calls for impeachment. Republicans' heads would have exploded on live TV, yet Trump is able to mess up the name while also talking about election fraud that he learned from Vladimir Putin, while also making unhinged jokes. How is this not a larger news cycle? Whatever media infrastructure we've had in place for the past decade has obviously failed us. That's why on this show, we relentlessly push back, relentlessly spread the French President Emmanuel Macron. Now, this confirms the entire theory I've had for this war. This theory was also built a lot from Vlad Vexler. He has what he calls a theory of narcissistic supply with Trump. He says that Trump gets narcissistic supply from people like Vladimir Putin, from people like Kim Jong-un, from leaders that he views as more powerful than him. Somebody with this level of narcissism will look at Zelensky and look at him as weak. He looks at Zelensky and he thinks that this is a smaller country who is losing. Honestly, he looks at the way Zelensky dresses, or he did before, and he looks at that and demeans him. He thinks that makes Zelensky weak. Meanwhile, he looks at Putin, and Trump's narcissism brain gets a source of supply, like a little buzz from Vladimir Putin that only confirms that his narcissistic ego is in the right. So in this clip, what Donald Trump says, I almost said Putin, but what's the difference at this point? Donald Trump says in this clip on Putin, quote, "I think he wants to make a deal for me. Do you understand?" As crazy as it sounds. That's what he says. It does sound crazy. Now, I'm gonna crank up the volume in the edit so you guys can hear this. Hopefully the audio is not too bad.
Great.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah, to set up a trilat, you know. So.
And where do you want to
I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand that? As crazy as it sounds. Hey, sit down. Sit down, everybody.
Okay.
I think we'll let the press come in for a minute.
Okay, so when he says we're going to set up a trilat, he's talking about a trilateral meeting between 3 countries: Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. They're talking about having a trilateral meeting, which honestly, you should not even talk to Vladimir Putin until he starts a ceasefire. But then Donald Trump says, Putin might end the war for me. He might make a deal for me. Do you understand? As crazy as it sounds. Okay, so that goes back to the theory of narcissistic supply very, very cleanly, because Trump's entire theory of this war has not been based on the history of Russia or Vladimir Putin's mentality. Trump's theory is that he can end this war because he has a close relationship with Putin and because Putin likes him. Putin doesn't actually like it. Well, maybe he does for other reasons, but Putin views Trump as an absolute idiot. It's very, very clear. So when Trump says in this clip, "I think he wants to make a deal for me," what you see right there is Donald Trump's narcissism bleeding through to such a degree that he thinks Vladimir Putin is his friend who will do him a favor and end this war. Do you know how effing crazy that sounds? Putin has been waging this war for 10 years. Actually, longer than that. He's been waging war in Eastern Europe for a while, but since 2014, 11 years ago, he invaded Crimea. Since then, he has been relentlessly bombing, killing civilians, throwing millions of men into the meat grinder, spending trillions of dollars